Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Great Digital TCG Search of 2014.
I've been waiting so long.
We've made it. It's been weeks and weeks and weeks. Lots
you
of
could almost
weeks.
say months
And
if you wanted to.
it's been, this all started on a cold day because we live where we do in March of 2014.
Yeah.
And
Was this year?
so we had a good bracket of 8 games. We had everything you could think of.
Everything.
We had Soulforge,
That's
Hearthstone,
Hey, stop. That's everything I can think of.
War of Omens,
Wasn't
Shadow Era,
Okay.
Pax Nora, Faria,
Yeah.
War of Omens,
Womans.
and
Did you say
Infinity
Hearthstone?
Wars.
Infinity Wars. Yep.
And all 8 of those games were
Utter garbage.
terrible things. I look so short on this. I gotta prop myself up. I'm in a shorter chair than Joe.
You look taller than me now. Yeah, I'm Joe, by the way.
This is Joe from Indie Games AAA. You may know him from me saying he might be on last week's cast of War of Omens, where he didn't end up being. So,
Very true. I wanted to be. I wasn't.
yeah, he failed at being.
I'm also the best person on the podcast.
Yeah, he's. If you've heard the podcast, you know that Joe is by far the most entertaining and
Easily.
and lovable out of everybody. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you will get no argument from me.
So I brought Joe on because Joe also is a card gamer, I suppose.
Yeah.
You enjoy a lot of these games.
I do.
You haven't played all of them.
No.
Some would say you haven't played most of them.
So, some would say I've played 2 of them.
And watched one.
Yes.
Oh, you were on the War of Omens cast. That's right. We had to do that hastily last week.
Yes, there was a different cast I wasn't on or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
Who knows?
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
But Joe's seen War of Omens at least.
Yes.
And
Or Womans.
Joe has played a bunch of Soulforge,
Mm-hmm.
and now Joe has been playing a lot of Hearthstone, which got eliminated
That is
last
correct.
week. How did you feel?
You know, I felt hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's because of the time of the day.
Yeah, it was like mid-evening that
yeah,
game got
But
eliminated.
I heard it. And it was like, man, I gotta eat some food.
So, we're here to talk some Womans, and I'm going to give... I know I ended up having a Final Four, but I wanted to kind of give an idea of what my favorite card games were, or games I'd really like to look back at eventually. I want to make an announcement on the winner, and then talk about what that means.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's first dig into the 2 games. We could start off with Soulforge, since you know about that.
I do know about Soulforge.
Okay, now Joe, since these people have been watching this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, just hoping that eventually there would be a results show like this.
Yeah.
Live
this is it.
stream, so that the fans, who are just lighting up the chat right now,
The hundreds. of fans.
could get an idea of what game was going to win. But they've been seeing my opinion for a while. What is your opinion on Soulforge?
Well, I think it's clear because as we said, I've been playing it. I enjoy it very much. I think there are some things missing, and I'm sure you'll touch on some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken about this off camera, as it were.
It's amazing we're ever off camera.
I know, because really, in my head, I'm always thinking somebody could be recording this, so I have to have my best mask on.
There's eyes and ears everywhere in this world, Joe.
I always have a mask on. I'm never the real me. No one knows the real me. I don't know the real me.
Like a metaphorical mask or like a physical mask?
Yeah, that isn't important. But okay, no, Soulforge.
That's
I really
the
like it.
mask you chose?
God, don't touch me. Okay, Soulforge is great. I like it. So I know it's something I've had a decent amount of success in with the matchmaking now. I have a constructed deck I like a lot. I've been playing pretty much exclusively one deck for a while, and that's allowed me to sort of really learn the ins and outs of it. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough knowledge of the game to have a lot of really good decks at this point. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a great mind when it comes to deck building, but I will say I like the reward system. Log in every day, get a reward. First win, third win, get a reward. I really love the tournament structure. The draft tournaments are great, even though I'm terrible at them right now, for the reasons I just mentioned. But I like the event ticket system.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I like the game.
Yeah,
It's good.
I really enjoy SoulForge. I think like you said, like one of the strongest points that it has is that the drafting mode is there, and that it's like super optimized for modern life. So a big problem with the old Magic drafts, or most of the drafts you'd play in most of those card games, was that if you wanted to do it, you had to sit there for 4 or 5 hours.
And your life had to revolve around it for a chunk of time.
Yeah, you had to carve out a solid. You had to tell your wife and your kids that Daddy wasn't coming home tonight because he likes this card game he plays a lot more than he likes spending time with his family. And when you did that, you were making a lot of assumptions about, where you wanted your life to end up going.
Sure.
And usually it wasn't somewhere positive. Well,
It's a very bleak outlook.
well, now with
Rough.
SoulForge, you can do all those things and spend time with your family. Because with the way the SoulForge draft works, and I didn't do any of these for any of my coverage of the game because I was only able to spend 10 to 15 minutes with the game.
You're only one man, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and
at that, you're barely a full man.
yeah,
So there's only so much a man of your stature and girth can do. Would you agree? Am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong.
never been able to dunk a basketball. I know that much.
That's all because of your girth. I've been
I
telling
really-
you this for years.
I'm hoping this devolves into us like taking little pot shots at each other.
Hey, it's already started.
So Joe, with his cankles, may not be able to understand quite what a one man can do, and I was able to put together a solid 20 episodes of content. 19, I think this is episode 19. 19 episodes of content, over 6 hours of video. Believe it or not,
I don't believe it.
that's crazy. 6 hours of card games or talking about card games.
That sounds.
It's all on a playlist on YouTube. It's impressive. Give me some cred. Thanks, Twitch. Way to be.
I don't think anybody high-fived you.
I didn't get any high five emoticons in
Nope.
the chat.
Wait. No.
But okay, SoulForge. Yeah, the drafting format's super awesome. So the way it works is you say, I want to draft, and then you go in and you draft your deck, and then whenever you want, you can go back and you can play 4 games. And you can play one today, one tomorrow, one 2 weeks from now, the next one next year.
What if I
Maybe.
wanted to play them yesterday?
Well, then you probably should have drafted yesterday.
Nope.
There's only so much they can do. Time travel would be asking far too much.
Is it? I mean, it's the 22nd, first. Just go ahead.
Excuse my colleague. So yeah, I think that's one of the strongest parts about it. The whole tournament system, you can collect daily rewards that allow you to play in those tournaments too. Like my current collection of so many tickets was all free just by playing the game. So I can enter those tournaments, and by doing draft, you collect more cards because you're opening packs and you're building decks with them.
And if you win, you open more cards.
And if you win, yeah, you open more cards.
And maybe get more event tickets if you do well enough.
Precisely. So I was able to play one regular draft before all was said and done, and went like 2-2, and then I played one of the other drafts and went 3-1, and was proud. And you had less success in drafts,
Yes.
but you still get prizes, right?
Yeah. Okay, I've done 2 drafts, gone 0-4 in both.
Okay.
But each time I think I've gotten 1 booster pack.
Right.
Out of it.
Okay. And the way I looked it up, the way the prizes work is the better you do doesn't mean you get more cards, but it means you get better cards.
Oh,
So
alright.
you get like a different level of pack. So I think it's like a platinum pack, a gold pack, and then like the platinum one is like you get a legendary card no matter what, and you're gonna
That's
get
pretty
like
awesome.
3 heroics and
I will say though, if you go in 4, you definitely get fewer cards in addition to less good cards.
yeah, I'd bet.
I think if you get 1 win, you get the same number. 1 and up, you get the same number of cards. It's just the caliber. If you get 0, you get fewer cards.
They're like, why are you here?
Yeah, like
You will be punished.
They're giving you cards because they feel like they have to, but they'd rather you quit.
Yeah.
Just leave the game forever.
I get that feeling. I get that feeling from hopping on the SoulForge forums as well, is that most of those players hope you quit at some point. It reminds me a lot of the Dota community. Is like, they're like, well, you are garbage, get out of our lawn. And it's great. But War of Omens had a little bit less of a volatile community. But I think you get that around like smaller games, is that people are more willing to have you be there because they're saying like, okay, we want you to stick with this game, like, please keep playing this game, we'll be nice to you. And it looks like we got a question in the chat.
Yeah, so it's somebody asking how long we've been playing. I assume you mean SoulForge.
Yeah, my guess is SoulForge.
Yeah.
I started playing SoulForge right when the beta came out. So I got into the beta and started playing then, back when there were only 2 decks. It was a Uteran Aloyan deck, I believe, and a Tempest Necreum deck. Or I may have those swapped. I don't know, but I was playing back in the beta. And
and then you quit for a while, didn't you?
I quit for a long time, like until they actually got the game up and running.
And then I
played sporadically.
I think like we picked up in earnest around the same time, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
So how long ago was that, you think? Like a few months?
A few months. Like when I started this, I think I really started digging back into every single one of these games.
That's probably how long I've been playing, too.
Like back in March, so I'd say I missed out on some of the like earlier days of people, just getting into the game, but now I'd say I'm decently experienced at it. I guess I'm not very good. I'm a longtime Magic player, and kind of came to it through that.
And I mean, even just watching you, that totally serves you well.
Yeah.
Just your Magic knowledge, it just bleeds over.
Right.
It can't not.
This is made by Magic guys. SoulForge was made by Magic guys.
That's another reason.
Yeah. So a lot of the idea of like drafting and stuff stayed similar. But thanks for your question. If anybody else has anything they want to know, just let us know. We'll be happy to answer it. But I guess that covers a lot of the positives about SoulForge.
Yes.
I think a couple other things is that the biggest thing is, and this is like a fortuitous day, right? Fortuitous? Fortuitous. Fortuitary. It hit me in the fortuitary gland. That's
a thing.
That totally the Android app for SoulForge came out on the same day of the finals of my tournament. And was able to like sneak itself in and be like, hey, just reminding you as you make this decision. And I'm pretty sure Stoneblade did this on purpose.
Oh yeah, I mean, they were totally watching this.
Yeah, they were
keeping tabs.
Well, let's make sure.
They were like, who is that girthy kid who's doing that TCG search? We gotta get it. We gotta get in there. We gotta sway the tide.
Yeah, they were like, hopefully he has that guy with the nose on.
Yeah, and you know what? That happened.
Right.
There are rooms full of people giving high fives right now.
Oh yeah,
because of what's going on.
Oh yeah, people are real stoked about this. And wait, about you being on or the Android app coming out?
No, it's straight up me.
Anyways, the Android app came out, and we were really happy about that. Joe has an iPhone.
I mean, I've been playing it on my phone for about a month. So,
but I think that always weighed into my decision. Whether it came out or not, I had to keep in mind that entire time that we were going to be looking at a game that would eventually have an Android app. Now, I have talked to the War of Omens developers about that, and they've said that they are planning on it, and it sounds like they kind of have something working, but it might be a while in development.
I mean, just watching you play the PC version, it seems like they've got a ways to go in terms of polish on their
like UI and how it looks. I do think they've like a long way to go before it looks like something you want to be playing. So but in terms of working on a touchscreen, totally does. And I know that because like I played it on I have a Windows tablet, and so it worked in my internet browser, and it works fine with the touchscreen.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm just saying they're gonna have to devote time and resources feel like they might want to get it a little bit better looking before they port,
I agree. And that's something else. Neither of these games are pretty, really. Soulforge has some good art on the cards, and you can like kind of change the skin of your background, but like they both are nothing in terms of like the look as compared to Hearthstone.
Oh, sure.
Or even Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars is pretty good looking.
I never saw that one. I gotta watch it.
It's like fully animated. Like every single card in Infinity Wars is animated.
I will say, like, I've told you this before, a lot of like the level 3 cards in Soulforge look really cool. Like, I love just how the cards transform as they level.
Yeah.
It's in a way that makes sense, and like it makes it like easily recognizable when you have a level 3 card out on the board versus a level 1. You can tell which one's more powerful.
Yeah.
Just by the colors and which
like they turn gold. Like the rim is gold, and then it's way better than that gray rim I have at level 1.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I really have enjoyed about Soulforge is that the game mechanics like leave a lot of room for creativity eventually in terms of card design and deck development, and that stuff is really nice. And that was probably the biggest problem I had with Hearthstone was that the room was there, but I don't think they were ever going to do it because I don't think that's how they're appealing.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they want.
Right, and
I think they want it more accessible to a wider audience.
And me personally, maybe it's just me, but for me, I am a hardcore card gamer.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get way into these things, unhealthily so. I have stories about how unhealthy my love for these games can become, and I don't want to say anything about that live.
I want you
on
to.
the air. I don't.
I think they want
say
you
anything.
to.
No. Embarrassing things.
Everyone in the chat, you want that to happen.
If you want me to tell embarrassing stories, please tell me in the chat, and I'll maybe think about giving one. But it's so incriminating and horrible. I don't want to tell it.
Well, okay. To your point, I was just gonna say, I'd say I'm more toward the line of a hardcore card gamer versus otherwise, and so I think Hearthstone, playing Hearthstone and Soulforge at the same time, it gives me sort of an avenue for both ends of the spectrum. If I want more of a simple kind of experience, I go to Hearthstone. Games are faster. There's less thinking. There's still some, but with Soulforge, there's definitely a lot more to do.
Yeah, and we have one person in the chat, the same person who asked a question earlier, wants me to tell an embarrassing story.
Well, I mean,
all right, for the fans. Back when I was in college, and I was getting into Magic.
What do you mean getting into Magic?
No, this was when I was getting into Magic.
Oh, I thought we played...
There had to be a period where you're getting into Magic. You're not just into Magic.
You know, like, you're so into it, I feel like you must have been born holding Magic cards.
This was like prior to my competitive days.
Okay.
My thoughts when I was doing certain things that would be widely considered more fun and more what a regular teenage male should be doing. My thoughts would often sway, and I would begin thinking about Magic in the middle of these activities. Oh, yeah.
Let's just move on from this.
Whoever you are in the chat. We got an extra viewer, as I told them. Sorry.
They probably came in at a good time.
Yeah.
They're pleased.
Great. Well, that's out on the internet.
You can never get it back.
I wish I could take so much back.
Hey, Pete's future kids.
So let's talk. I guess we could get into some War of Omens. Womans runs in the browser, which is a weird thing. Right?
Yeah, I would say it's a positive thing.
It's kind of interesting. You can pretty much play it anywhere and on any machine, and like you just log in through Steam, or Facebook.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Or Google Plus.
Huh.
Or Google Plus.
Now, so if you log in through Steam and other things, is it the same account? Like, can you link those accounts, or do you have a Steam account? Do you have a Facebook account?
You have separate accounts. I'm pretty sure. I don't see how you could link them.
Like,
I don't know that for a fact. So
once you log in, do you have to log in again?
Not usually. No,
Okay,
unless you're on a different computer. So whenever I log in on my tablet, I just pop straight into the game. I just hit play.warofomens.com, and then
that's real weird.
I
Actually,
pop into the game.
okay.
And it's my account, and it's all my stuff. And so one of the best parts about War of Omens, other than the game mechanics are cool, the whole you are drafting a deck as with your deck is a cool idea to me.
Yes.
Because I like those games.
Dominion-esque.
Yeah, I like Dominion. I like Race for the Galaxy when played in draft, and I like Ascension, which is ironic because the guys who made Ascension also made Soulforge.
Oh man,
I know, right? So they're
What
battling
thread?
themselves. The chaos. Yeah, but it works really well, and it's not hard to get a collection going. Nor do you have to really put money into it to get a good collection going.
would you say the same is true of Soulforge?
I think Soulforge is true up to a point.
Okay.
Like you can collect cards pretty easily in Soulforge, but like you can practically collect everything in War of Omens without doing it. Whereas
Okay.
in Soulforge, like you'll be on a long, arduous path to get that done. Because
But it would be easier in Woman's.
yeah, it'd be much easier in Women's.
All right.
Like you could do it in a few months in Women's. I practically have almost every one of the cards you need. Now the only thing is like they're not upgraded, so that's the catch.
Oh, okay.
Is
That's
that
right.
eventually if you keep collecting those same cards, they upgrade, the
become
cost
cheaper.
goes down
Mm-hmm.
for buying them and putting them in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
But the flip side of the coin is that it makes for a smaller card pool and like maybe a little bit less variation in decks.
I know that's the impression I got. I only saw 2 games,
Right.
but I mean we played against virtually the same deck twice.
So I think they noticed that as well because they're now adding in a new faction. I think
Really?
like right now, like maybe as we
Like
speak.
right now.
Like they've been previewing the new faction recently. So they're adding that fourth one in there because I'm pretty sure they figured out like there isn't enough variation right.
So are you implying that they hadn't planned to do this all along?
I don't know. They might have, but
Okay.
it is possible that this was in response to a stagnation of the meta.
Sure.
The meta. I can't wait to get in the meta of one of these games. But which game is it? Find out after this commercial from RC Cola.
Sorry.
All right, Joe. Read the spot.
RC Cola. Do you want some cola? Wait for it.
And we're
Back
back. Thanks for that advertisement. So War of Omens, I think, yeah, I felt a stagnation because the card pool is so short and the idea behind the factions is so strong that each kind of faction ends up with maybe I saw like variations on like 2 or 3 decks per faction, like where
Okay.
they were kind of playing different ways, but a lot of them are centered around the same idea. Where Soulforge has like a very interesting meta between the 4 factions as well as combining 2 factions.
Yes.
So that was one of the things I thought Woman's was like. It was weird and kind of different was that you couldn't combine factions. So you have to only play the cards from that faction.
Yeah, that is interesting. That goes a ways towards sort of funneling you into one play style.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you were stuck in like if you decided to play this group, you were kind of restricted by what they were restricted by, and you had no way to circumvent that.
Right.
Now I will say that like War of Omens kind of lended itself more to the combo deck, which I love. I love me some combo decks.
Now,
I like taking
when you say
infinite
that,
turns.
what do you mean?
I like going
Infinite turns?
I like going infinite in
Yeah.
one way or another.
I've played against you in Magic when you've gone to infinite.
Gone infinite,
It's
man.
been some of the least fun I've ever had.
Yeah,
playing a
it's
game.
it's one of the least enjoyable things for like somebody else to experience is one guy going infinite, and that exists in War of Omens,
I have
so
horrible
that's
memories.
a positive. Like
Is it a positive?
for
you.
me,
Yeah.
for me, and yeah, in Magic I used to play Time Sieve decks, which would take infinite turns, and were just so
It's the worst.
So
Playing
great.
against it was the worst.
Oh,
Horrible human
I dream of making people's lives miserable. But okay, but the other thing is that a lot of those decks are built around combos. A lot of it is about comboing.
Sure. If it wasn't, it'd be weird.
Yeah, just like it is in most of those deck building games. Is like I need to
Hearthstone.
build the synergy between like the things I'm taking out of this card pool, or else like I'm gonna be screwed. Whereas other decks like in SoulForge and Hearthstone, stuff like that, can rely sheerly on power. You can kind of rely on power, and
Yeah.
like synergy's different than combo, I guess, because combo kind of relies on like two things
I'm with you.
working precisely together to allow ridiculousness to happen. That's I think
That's a good way of putting it.
Webster's definition. But a deck full of like synergy and that kind of thing is like all my cards kind of like match up to each other. Other combo decks more rely on like these cards are going to get me so I can get my combo.
Right.
You know.
I'd say honestly that's one of the strengths of SoulForge, though. It allows you to do either of those, take either of those paths, like
Right.
or mix them, which is what most people do.
Right.
It's a mixture of power and you know.
The variation in SoulForge is really like one of its greatest strengths, and is once again probably a lesson learned from Magic by like Justin Gary and the crew. Is that
Sure.
the most interesting card games are those that allow for a lot of different venues and methods for getting to that same end. You're trying to get to that point where your opponent has 0 life. But there's so many different ways to get there, and that's what makes those games so interesting.
I think one of the main things that allows SoulForge to do that is just the sheer number of cards it has, and just by the virtue of having to add new cards that don't already exist, you're gonna have like different themes emerge.
Right.
Whereas in Woman's, like you said, at least right now the card pool's pretty low, and so it seems to me there isn't a lot of room yet for a lot of variation.
Right. And
So if they were to add more, maybe.
it's something that could get there. I mean, as
Sure.
they add mechanics, as they add ideas, like the game will grow and become more interesting, and that's true for most of these games. And really, in the end, it comes down to kind of like two things, and that's base mechanics and accessibility. I think it comes down to for me is like, what is this game like doing, and how can I get it? And I think. All the amazing thing about most of these is the free-to-play model has kind of dominated these digital card games outside of like Scrolls. That was the only game I found myself being like, I have to put in money initially? Why? Why is this happening? But for journalistic integrity, I had to do it. Because I have a lot of integrity.
Look at that face. How much integrity is in that face? Not to mention girth.
And beard!
Yes, also.
We lost 2 viewers during that rant. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty, I guess.
Yeah, let's.
Okay, let's talk
this is
about
everybody.
a winner. This is the moment.
This
The
is-
card game is going to be decided.
This is why you tuned in.
Do we have any final questions before I do this from one of our like 4 viewers?
While that's happening, I'll ask you one.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a favorite moment through all of your playthrough of all these games?
Oh,
You have
okay.
one moment like that was really cool. Either somebody did to you, or something you pulled off.
In terms of like actual card game moments,
Yeah.
I think when a guy comboed me out in War of Omens, that was one of the best ones. Like he played a card I had never seen and killed me instantly, like from 20 to 0, and I didn't even know the card existed. He had like 80 gold, and I was dead. And I was like, I can't believe that happened, and that happened on one of the streams.
Was it in a way that felt unfair?
No,
Okay.
it's totally fine. Like
Okay.
he had amassed a certain amount of resources that should allow him to do something like that.
All right.
And then finding a game of Faria was so shocking to me.
It's just
It was
finding
so
a game.
astounding because that game was in closed beta and nobody was playing it because it was closed beta.
The standards went so far down. Finding a game was amazing.
Yeah, I think like the fact that I had run into somebody and like I've never played a game of this before, and he was like so high leveled because Literally, him and I were the only people online
On Earth.
playing this game in the entire planet.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty great.
Sure.
Playing Soul Forge with Frank and whooping the crap out of him was also pretty good.
Well, sure.
Yeah, I'd say if I had any memories. So we have no questions.
Let's just do it. Let's launch into this.
So the decision. Your runner-up. Should we do this like a Miss America pageant style?
Yeah.
Okay, I should talk about what this means as well. Whichever game wins, I will begin doing coverage of. As I'm not super good at either of these games, but as I learn them, I will be doing some weekly segments or daily things.
Like streamage.
Yeah, some streams and
And
stuff.
who knows, maybe I'll show up.
Maybe even Joe will show up. And I'll be covering this and doing this kind of stuff because
Extensively.
I always wanted to do that kind of stuff for like Magic or a game like this, and
Yeah.
was never able to. But these games are so young, I feel like I could do that. So you'll be able to look forward to that, and I'll give you more information after I choose, which is now the runner-up. Coming in second place was War of Omens.
Oh, man.
And your first place winner is Soul Forge. Good news, everyone. Soul Forge is the card game that wins.
This is it. This is it, everybody.
This is what you've all been waiting for,
Yeah.
and so many weeks of sitting here and dealing
So
with my
much build
bull
up.
crap just so you could hear me say Soul Forge is the winner.
Mm-hmm.
My congrats to War of Omens on being great and being a shocking game to make the final two.
I will say, after watching you play Woman some, I will probably try it out some.
Okay. Yeah, I think
I was impressed enough by what I saw.
you'd be good at it. Yeah.
Wow.
Can't believe I just said that. And yeah, also now I'm gonna be starting some Soul Forge coverage and stuff, and doing drafts and doing constructed tournaments, taking deck suggestions. Like so people can send in decks and stuff.
I suggest you make a good one.
And anyway, so if you have deck ideas, you can send those to me at pete@indiegamesaaa.com. I think I haven't set aside a day to start doing draft streams, but I will let you know. I'll probably put that on my Twitter at IndiePD. I work for indiegamesaaa.com. If you didn't figure that out yet. So does this guy. He's better at it than I am.
Better at what? Working?
Working.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm going to be doing a bunch of coverage. I hope to expand it. I'm sure we'll gain more viewers as it goes on, and I'll be able to do more things, more exciting stuff, and working with the Soul Forge community. And hopefully, eventually, me and Justin Gary will meet and shake hands, and I'll be like, this is an okay moment in my life.
This is just all right.
This is an okay moment. So, yeah, I don't know. And you'll, of course, since you play Soul Forge, you can be on some of those streams and stuff. And
totally.
I really think the thing that, the one thing that was always kind of keeping me in the Soul Forge train of thought was that the formats are better and the game's deeper. And while it's a big hurdle to overcome to join in to this game, and especially because the card pool is always growing and all that stuff, I really like the competitive nature of it, and I enjoy the ideas, and I can't wait to get Level Screwed live on the air.
It's always a great feeling.
And then I'll have people telling me, oh, you're a noob, why are you doing draft? You should be picking Night Gaunt, and stuff like that. So
are you ever not picking Night Gaunt?
No, I never pick Night Gaunt.
Weird.
I try to anti-build Night Gaunt. That's the way I've always played these games. That's the way I'll keep playing these games.
Sure.
Never do
Pete,
what wins.
It's what makes you exciting to watch.
So if you want to see me play some 5-lane green, I'm sure I'll be doing that soon. And War of Omens, I think it'll grow. I think it'll get better, and I think it'll be a good option for a lot of people who like that style of game. It definitely offers something totally different than every other one of these games, because it's not exactly a trading card game so much as it is like a deck building trading card game. And I wanted to rank my top 4. I know I had a final 4, but coming out of this, I wanted to mention the 4 card games I liked the most out of this in the end because one got eliminated that I really did enjoy.
All right, so
and wish it had a better shot.
One is Soulforge.
One is Soulforge.
Okay.
2, I would still give to War of Omens.
Got it.
I would say 3 is Hearthstone, and I'd say definitely if you want to try something else that I didn't get a good chance to cover, go check out Infinity Wars because that seems pretty good, and I'd really, it's one of the prettier ones and one of the ones doing some interesting things, but it wasn't exactly for me, and it also just wasn't War of Omens. So if it had been on the other side of the bracket, it definitely would have like edged out Scrolls and Pax Nora and all those games that were on that side of the bracket that just the seeding really screwed over Infinity Wars because you never know what could happen.
That's gonna happen.
It happens. Yeah, you play against Villanova in the second round and you're like,
and you're out.
This is gonna be easy. It's not. You're knocked out. Go home. March Madness has infected your family. And they're all going to die.
Your family now has the March Madness.
Those poor people. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll
thanks everybody.
Keep you updated on my Twitter on when I'm doing streams and stuff. So those Soulforge fans who want to hear me talking about their game, you can hear it directly from me. Yeah, I was really happy to do all this. I'm kind of sad it's over. This has been the longest running segment ever on Indie Games AAA.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Other than Mandate Radio.
Oh. Yeah, if you don't know, you haven't heard Mandate Radio, go check it out. It's our podcast. We have a lot of fun.
That's about it on that. I love that podcast.
Me too.
But thank you. Joe, where can we find you on Twitter in case you want to hear about strategy games or other boring crap?
At jfish867.
Okay.
I also, at least right now, I stream the most out of the three of us. And it's mostly RTSs and or Dota. I haven't streamed Dota in a while, but also check out our stream more, follow us. And you can see a lot of different games. Both indie and AAA games.
Yeah, we do both. And I guess we could ask if you have any final questions. We'll give you a second to ask those. And beyond that, I guess I should say more things.
Any final thoughts? Perhaps on the direction of the industry, perhaps common themes. Is there something you kept hoping you would see in one of these games and never saw?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Thanks. I have a podcast.
We have a podcast. You do not have a podcast. We have a podcast.
I know.
I think if one thing was missing from these games, I think they were missing like the way to acquire cards that the most rich of people could do, and that is sheerly by like buying them.
Okay.
Which I like.
And you're a fan of that.
I am because I like picking up singles to build decks with, based on, wanting to build a certain deck.
I would agree if it makes sense. If there's a game, like if you want to have a deck and you're willing to spend the money, you should probably be able to.
Yeah, and I think it
realistically
only makes sense as a business model that's how it works.
I can also understand the desire to not have that.
Yeah.
To try to keep people on a more even playing field.
Right.
More forcefully.
I think so. I think you let this model go for a little bit, and then you break it down, and then you make it available. Because now you're like, we're going to bring in fresh people, and listen, Stoneblade Entertainment, we're going to bring in fresh people. Okay, we're going to keep them with this game, and then once they get really addicted, we're going to allow them to dump tons of money into it. And that's really what I want out of one of these games.
Sure.
But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Catch me on Twitter at IndiePedia, at JFish867. Check out our website, IndieGamesAAA.com, and check back on this stream. Subscribe down below, and you'll be getting some Soulforge casts probably later in the week. I'll probably do a draft.
Cool.
So thank you for watching. We love you very much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.